we need to be honest about the MMO genre. This is just one of my favorite topics lately because, I mean, there's just a lot to talk about. Like, the news the past few months with canceled MMOs, and I think all of us are like craving more MMOs, but like it doesn't look like we're actually getting one. I was actually talking to Peekaboo and my YouTube editors about this exact topic these last few days with, like, if you're a first-person shooter gamer or just a shooter gamer in general, you get a new game to play every month or maybe every other month. It's crazy. But as MMO gamers, we get a new game like a good quality MMO, like what? Every blue moon, man. Like it's crazy. So obviously they take longer to make and they're more expensive and blah, blah, blah. But let's see what Lazy Peon has to say.
I think it's time that we're honest about the state of the MMO genre, especially Western MMOs, as 2025 has probably been one of the worst years ever for the genre. Like, just when you think it can't get any worse, it somehow does. But these past few months in particular have been brutal. We've had Amazon Game Studios shut down unexpectedly after the recent New World expansion, and as a result, the in-development Lord of the Rings MMO has also been cancelled. Project Ghost, the MMO by XWow and Riot dev Ghost Crawler, was recently cancelled after NetEase pulled their funding. A few months ago, the upcoming ZeniMax Online Studios MMO, Project Blackbird, was cancelled.
I never heard about that
one. And very recently,
link.
Jackalyptic Games announced that the upcoming Warhammer MMO has also been cancelled after 3.5 years of development. It genuinely feels like...
It's almost like every... like VC, like all the funds, everyone just collectively agreed MMOs aren't very profitable unless you like beat WoW, so we're just going to cancel everything because it's way too darn risky for our investment. So everyone just pulled at the same time. It's like, nah, screw this thing. Like, we're going to invest in an FPS or anything else. Like, it's crazy.
Like, it's all over. The only big MMO releases in the near future are all coming out of Asia. The few Western projects that are still ongoing, we either know nothing about, or are indie projects that still need a lot of development and may still be years away from a full release. Is there any hope? Mate, I'll do my best to try and find something optimistic, but I can't promise I'm going to make you feel better. It is looking pretty bleak, but there is one positive. Today's sponsor, Old School RuneScape. This is my main...
You got sponsored by RuneScape? Okay, W. Nice. RuneScape sponsor.
MMO RPG, and it's just released its biggest update yet. Sailing. The first entirely new skill added to OSRS in the game's history. This is a skill that was voted into the game and collaboratively designed by the OSRS community via the player polling system. You'll be able to set sail upon the seas from existing ports on your very own ship that comes in different shapes and sizes as you level up. You'll be able to choose NPC crewmates or invite your friends to help crew your ship. The world's map has once again been expanded with this update, adding over 30 new islands. There'll be new sailing-themed enemy types, different training methods to gain XP, and it's accessible to everyone, whether you're a brand new player, veteran Ironman, or a skiller. For me though, I feel like the addition of sailing really just completes the world of Gielinor. Look how clean the new skills panel looks now with 24 skills instead of 23. When you open the world map now, these vast ocean areas are places you can finally actually go to now. I absolutely love OSRS, and it's the perfect sponsor for this video because it has been one of the few massive success stories to come out of the MMO genre in the past decade. I've personally put thousands of hours into this game, and if someone was to ask me what current MMO will still be here 10 years from now, my first response would be Old School RuneScape. So click the link in the description below to play OSRS and try out the new sailing skill now. So what's going on with Western MMOs? When people say the MMO genre is dying, what they're really talking about is MMOs from Western developers, as almost every year we do see big new releases from studios in Asian countries like Korea, China, or Japan. Why is this? Well, the uncomfortable truth is that Asia can afford to make MMOs and the West simply cannot anymore. Let me explain. In places like California, Austin, London, or Berlin, the cost of developing a modern MMORPG is absolutely insane, mostly due to wages and the cost of living. If you want to hire a senior gameplay programmer in the US or Western Europe, you're often paying well into six figures before benefits, taxes, insurance, studio overheads. The whole thing starts to spiral, but in Korea, in China, even Japan, those same roles are dramatically cheaper, and when you zoom out, it means a full MMO can be built for a fraction of what it would cost in the West. A Western AAA MMO easily becomes a $100 to $200 million gamble, but an Asian MMO with the same scope might be made for 30 to 50 million. And here's the thing, when your development costs are lower, you don't need to be critically acclaimed to turn a profit. This is why we constantly see Asian MMOs popping up even when they don't set the world on fire critically. They don't need to. A 7 out of 10 bit grindy kind of pay to win MMO can still make money in Korea or China because the investment risk is lower, the player expectations are different, and the monetization culture heavily favors cosmetics, gachas, and whales. Some of these games double dip by launching on both PC and mobile too. Even if the PC version flops in the West, the mobile version can still print money in Asia and completely cover the development costs. Meanwhile, in the West...
Man, I hate to say it, but like, I don't know about you guys. I mean, this is just such like a Western take, I guess, but I've always been addicted to the Western MMO like art style, like WoW, of course, like Oblivion, Skyrim, and which are RPGs, New World, even OSRS, which is a little different. But like, I have played... I played a lot of Lost Ark, and I actually thought Lost Ark was pretty good, but it like takes me a while to look past the Eastern art style. Like, it's just, I don't know. Do you, yeah. I think they can still be really good games. Like Lost Ark, I really enjoyed, but like it just takes me a while to. It's almost like click to move for me. Click to move in general, I think sucks, but I can still get into it. It just takes me a while. And I have to almost like mentally just be like, okay, I have to play this for like a couple weeks to even like kind of get into it, you know?
Studios need a massive genre-defining hit just to break even. If the game launches as merely okay, it's not seen as an acceptable outcome. It's seen as a failure. Investors know this, publishers know this, and that's why so few Western MMOs are even getting greenlit anymore. It's not that the West forgot how to make MMOs. It's that the economics have changed so much that they can barely justify taking the risk. Back in the mid to late 2000s, things were very different. That era felt like the Wild West of MMO development when it came to Western studios. Every year you'd hear about some new WoW killer cooking in the background. Warhammer Online, Age of Conan, Rift, WildStar, Guild Wars 2, Lord of the Rings Online, SWTOR, even weird shit like Tabula Rasa. It was a constant conveyor belt of big new Western MMORPGs because the genre was the hot investment at the time. Why? Well, blame World of Warcraft. The moment Blizzard proved you could make an MMO and have it pull in literal billions a year, every investor decided, yep, we want one of those. So money was flying everywhere, studios were hiring rapidly, and publishers were greenlighting anything with the letters MMO attached to it. Development costs were also significantly lower back then too. Budgets weren't tiny, but they...
It's just so hard to get an MMO to stick. Like, you need critical mass, and it's just like you're building an online world that like exists, right? It's not like you're just building good gameplay, right? It's not like you're building just like a good MOBA, which I'm not saying it's easy to build a good MOBA, but it's like you're building an online persistent universe. Like, it's so tricky, and then you need the critical mass to make it stick. It's tough,
still
man.
manageable. Vanilla WoW reportedly cost somewhere in the range of 50 to 60 million to develop.
Oh wow.
Some sources even estimate up to $75 million, which was considered a monster budget at the time.
Oh yeah.
But still nowhere near the $100 to $2 million range that you need today to build a Western AAA MMO at the same scale.
That's crazy.
Back then, you didn't need motion captured cinematics, fully voice acted quest lines, high fidelity assets, 4K texture pipelines, or decade-long pre-production cycles. A major MMO in 2007 could be made in that $40 to $60 million range or less and still be competitive. The technical bar was lower, the financial risk was lower, investor confidence was higher, and the audience was absolutely starved for anything resembling WoW, but slightly different. But that era is gone now. Games cost far more to make, expectations are way higher, audiences are more fragmented, and investors would rather make a cheap hero shooter or mobile gacha instead of gambling their future on a decade-long MMO project.
It's true.
Rightfully so. Like, from an investor point of view, you can understand this. But that's how we went from dozens of Western MMOs popping up every year to barely anything even making it past the concept phase today. So is there any hope? At this point you're probably thinking, alright Peon, this is all very depressing.
Yeah.
Please tell me there's at least something to look forward to from the West. And yes, there is some hope, and I pray this video doesn't age poorly, because with how things have been going recently, any one of these could be the next cancellation announcement. Guild Wars 3 is in development at ArenaNet.
Yeah.
It's not officially announced yet, but hiring listings and internal documents have all but confirmed it.
That would be
ArenaNet
cool to
has
try.
a proven track record. Guild Wars is a beloved IP, and if it gets to a full release, I'd personally expect it to have a high chance of success.
I would try it,
Considering
yeah.
both Guild Wars 1 and 2 were both successful games critically and financially. The Riot MMO is still alive. It went through a major reboot, the scope was reduced, and a lot of the team
This is the one I believe in the most. I really do. I really do, man.
was reshuffled, but Riot hasn't cancelled it. Riot Games doesn't work on things forever for no reason, so clearly there's still some internal belief in this project. And then there's a surprising one. Very recent news, Hytale is back. Riot just gave the rights back to Hypixel Studios, and development has resumed under the original team. This was a project that was announced as cancelled earlier this year, so it's quite a nice surprise to see it resurrected again.
Wait, is this like a Minecraft MMO?
We have Ashes of Creation, which recently announced it's coming to Steam Early Access on December 12th.
Ashes,
This
yeah.
announcement was met with quite a bit of backlash for a number of reasons, and it's a topic that deserves its own video. And I do worry it's going to get negative Steam reviews, with most testers fearing it's too early for early access.
How funny is that? It was like a meme of Ashes of Creation, been in development for 10 years, it's never coming out, lol. And then Ashes goes, yeah, we're gonna launch it on Steam, and everyone goes, it's too early, it's not ready yet. Game still sucks. It's like, bro, so funny.
But at least this one is actually playable.
Oh my
The
God.
gameplay itself is really solid, but it's got a ways to go until it's a complete experience. Then you've got a few smaller scale MMO lights as well as indie projects. For a full list on all of these MMOs, both indie and AAA, as well as some fully released under the radar MMOs, check out my 2 recent videos, every upcoming MMORPG 2025 and beyond, as well as indie MMO devs in 2025 are insane. If you can't find hope in these videos or the current MMOs, then that brings us to the next question. What would it take for MMOs to make a big comeback? Honestly, it's going to take a few things.
Okay.
Number 1, a monetization model that isn't pay to win, but still prints money.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is the
No
biggest
player
thing
power.
that needs to change if MMOs are ever going to make a comeback. For the past decade, monetization has basically been split into 2 extremes. Western MMOs, cosmetics, optional subs, small battle passes. Eastern MMOs, gachas, power boosts, power selling, progression shortcuts, and everything in between.
Yeah.
Neither side has fully
True.
cracked the non-pay to win but massively profitable formula. Until recently, a new business model has started to emerge out of China. Free-to-play, non-pay-to-win with cosmetic-only gacha and battle pass. For this to work, the games need to have extensive character cosmetic features, such as player housing with housing items, dyeable outfits, mount skins, animations, player effects. Basically create social features that allow players to flex cosmetics.
Well, I mean, it's nothing novel, right? It's like what Fortnite or like any of these free-to-play plus skin games do. I think it's one of my preferred monetization models, but I'm doubtful it works on an MMO because botting gets way worse. And then when you don't have that monthly fee, historically we've seen them all just fail, right? And then like New World, for example. I don't know. I'm doubtful it works, but if it could, I think it would be my preferred way because you can hit critical mass way easier when it's free to play. Way easier. And in any competitive esport, not any of them, but like a lot of them are free to play plus skins. Why? Because you want more players playing. Why? So you get more people into the esport, so you can have more eyes on the tournaments and you can make it into a bigger thing. So free to play plus skins is like really lucrative, but I don't know if it really works for MMOs.
without selling power. If, and this is the key, if the game itself is good enough, this model absolutely prints money. Two perfect examples where wins meet. This game is basically a full single-player wuxia RPG with MMO elements sitting on top of that foundation, with players having the option to play the MMO mode or just enjoy the single-player mode. The game is zero pay to win, and it's just cosmetic gacha plus battle pass, and in the first month of its Chinese release, reportedly made over $90 million from both mobile and PC.
Sheesh.
Sword of Justice Online. This is a mobile-first MMO, but it uses the same non-pay-to-win business model. Massively successful in China. Over 40 million players in the first month. Not so successful with its Western Steam release because we understandably don't like to see a hideous mobile UI when we launch a game via Steam. Here's something wild I found. World of Jade Dynasty, another new Chinese MMO that also uses the free-to-play, mostly cosmetic monetization model. There's a cosmetic dragon mount in the game that's sold for the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of premium gems acquired through gacha. When obtained, it triggers a server-wide special event, and community posts joke about it being the million RMB mount. Apparently, on average, it can cost over 100k USD to obtain, and is a purely cosmetic flex item tied to absurd spending.
Bro, can you imagine if Blizzard launched $140,000 mount that is a dragon flying through the sky? What? Oh my gosh, bro.
For the past decade, mobile games have absolutely printed cash from a tiny percentage of players that they refer to as whales, who account for the majority of spending on these games. It seems like the new monetization meta, in China at least, is to give whales the opportunity to spend big money on these flex cosmetic items instead of buying actual power. Although I think we're still early in seeing this model adopted in other regions, these games—
I've said this so many times in the past, but I don't like character progression to be purchasable. I don't like character boost to 60 or max level or whatever, or purchasable gold or any purchasable items in the game. If there's cosmetic, like, I think it's best if there's no cosmetics, but if it's cosmetics like how New World was, like it's like everyone knows you bought the skin, everyone knows it's from the store, it's like you want to support the game, it's free to play, plus you get cosmetics, like it doesn't bother me that much.
At least prove something incredibly important. You don't need pay to win if your cosmetic and fashion game is strong enough. MMO players love cosmetics if you give them good transmog, a proper dye system, player housing with furniture, mount skins, weapon skins, outfit collections, emotes, dances, gestures, seasonal battle pass cosmetics. They will spend a stupid amount of money without ever breaking the integrity of the game, at least to a certain extent. If you then want to capture the whales, you can then also throw in some uber rares via cosmetic gacha, so the gamers who have invested in Nvidia stock can gamble to get their equivalent of an in-game Rolex. The key is to simply make a good game first. If the game is free, has good gameplay, the world is fun, and the social systems are solid, then cosmetics alone can easily sustain a modern MMO.
I think that's a fair take.
Number 2, regulators clamping down on pay to win. Another weird source of hope for MMOs actually comes from something that most gamers hate: governments getting involved, especially in China. According to Reuters, in late 2023, new rules were proposed in China targeting whale bait mechanics, which means no login rewards, no first top-up bonus, no streak spending rewards, spending limits for players, direct purchase options for items normally locked.
They're almost treating gacha as like gambling, that's really interesting.
Behind gacha, and stricter transparency around probability items. These changes directly attack the systems that have kept many Eastern MMOs profitable through pay-to-win design. South Korea followed with its probability disclosure law in 2024, forcing all games with gacha to clearly show the real odds everywhere. We've still got a long way to go until pay-to-win is regulated completely out.
I mean, I think that's fair. I think like the first thing that most of us ask when a new MMO comes out is there any pay to win? And it's a fair question. Like, would you really want to start to play a game if you could just buy all the best stuff? Like, right? Like, come on, right?
of MMOs, but if China and Korea keep pushing in this direction, developers may be forced towards the exact monetization model that Western players actually want. 3. The possibility of AI reducing development costs for MMOs dramatically in the future. Controversial topic because it means people losing their jobs, and at this point I'm sick to death of hearing about AI. I think it's made the internet an absolute slop fest these past few years,
yeah.
and I'm honestly not convinced it's even going to be a net positive for humanity. However, we have already seen people use AI to help with asset generation, animation blending, procedural dialogue, world building tools, and QA automation. If AI tools can cut MMO development costs by even 20 to 30%, maybe just doing a few mundane tasks here and there, then that's already massive. Suddenly, the genre becomes more financially viable again for studios that previously couldn't justify it. And if AI gets to the point where one artist can do the work of 5, one designer can generate hundreds of quest variations.
I hate to say this, I really do, but that's probably pretty true. Like, if game devs and game studios are leveraging AI, we probably will see more MMOs, which like is maybe a good thing, but at what cost, right? It's like, dang. It's probably pretty true though.
Then that changes everything. I don't think it's going to magically resurrect the genre overnight, but over the next 5 to 10 years, this could potentially be one of the biggest factors that brings MMOs back. Number 4, a breakout hit from either side. The truth is, one massively successful MMO, whether Western or Asian, could completely shift investor confidence. All it takes is one game that proves that you can still make $1 billion MMO in the 2020s. Another World of Warcraft level success. If that happens, money will flow again, studios will pivot, publishers will chase the trend as they always do, and the 2007 to 2012 era of constant MMO launches could absolutely return. But that's me reaching dangerous levels of hopium. So much so.
One of the claims that I've made, and I haven't heard too many other people make this claim. I thought of this for the first time about 10 years ago, right when, like a little bit before like the Fortnite era, a little bit before like you saw people start quitting WoW and start branching off to like leagues, like 2012, a little later. Was that game genres are generational. And I thought of this because it's like, why wouldn't they be? Names are generational, fashion is generational, music is generational. Why would game genres not be generational? And what I mean by that is MMOs were so hot in the early 2000s, right? With RuneScape, with WoW, like it was just like the thing to do was to play MMOs. And then for a while they kind of went dormant. But then you see the MMO revival of like the last couple of years where it's like MMOs were like cool again for a second, especially in like 2019 Classic WoW release. And it's like, wow, they're hot again. And then like maybe not for a while. And like I think like, so that was kind of like my claim is that there's certain, for a variety of reasons, there's certain reasons that like a new influx of kids, so like Zoomers, are like not maybe patient enough to sit down and play an MMO for hundreds of hours like we did, but instead they want the like instant gratification. But my claim is maybe the next generation of kids or the one after that might push in the opposite direction and say, no, I'm sick of this instant gratification. I want to work for something again. That might be a copium take, I know, but that would be kind of cool if we saw this revival, this up, this down, this back, this forth, right? It's like, maybe we see an MMO revival one day, right? And you see it happening in music, in fashion, the pendulum swings, right? So anyway, that's been my take for about like a decade. I haven't seen like too many other people make this argument, but like that's kind of how I look at it with MMOs. We were just like off generation for a while, but maybe it'll swing back.
It's probably best that we wrap up the video here before I get sent to the hospital for an OD. Real talk though, I don't know what the future holds. I can't predict anything, and as a content creator covering this genre, I've really had to do my best to try and stay positive these past few years because no one wants to come home from a long day of work, watch one of my videos and only hear negativity. I'm someone that gets genuinely depressed when there is no hope, so I'll always do my best to try and find it, whether that be with games, real life, health, work, or with the future in general. Maybe sometimes I come across as unrealistic, or maybe in the past I've gotten you excited for a game that turned out to be disappointed. Sorry if that's been the case. But I do promise you this, I do genuinely love this genre, and I just want to see it thrive again.
Lazy P on W, man. I mean, that's how I feel too. I think he's probably putting this outro to the video because people are like, oh, another doomer video in the MMO space. And it's like, I mean, they're maybe right, but at the same time, it's like, well, that's kind of the space we're living in and we have to try to navigate it. So it's better to talk about it than to stick your head in the sand, right? So it's like, I don't know. I like Lazy P on's videos. I like this topic too. I like starting the discussion, so.